show is sponsored by PowerfulWomenUSA.com, a place to be inspired by successful women. Hey everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I am hoping that you will be inspired to pursue your dreams, feel empowered, reclaim your voice, and discover your strengths. So my guest today is Tammy Cohen. Tammy is author of the book Text Messages to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in a World of Devices. And she's also the owner of a restaurant in New York City and founder of the women's networking group Women Beyond the Table. And guys, she is so much more. So Tammy, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jill. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm thoroughly excited and thrilled.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for coming on. So let's talk first. Let's begin with your book. And I want to read for listeners the foreword of the book, a part of it actually, because it's written by your own sons and it's very heartfelt. In part, they say, this is a quote now, "There are times when our mother's messages are exactly what we need to be told, where it's almost as if God is speaking to us through her. And all the texts provide motivation on days when we need it most." So Tammy, tell us about this book. How did this book come about?
Well, that's a great question. Where did it start? So basically, we all remember the pandemic. It was not that long ago. And I remember just sitting down and everything was shut down and saying, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm not traveling, I'm not working. So I started looking at myself. I had time. We all had time during the pandemic. I know there were many challenges, but I feel like God put everybody in hold and just said, just sit down for a second and be present. Mm-hmm. So I started looking at myself, and Jill, I really wasn't happy. I didn't like who I was. I had been going through a lot of limiting beliefs that I didn't even know about for many, many years. I wasn't happy in my relationships and just who I was as a person. So I started immersing myself because I had time in personal development and growth. I jumped into Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza and Mind Valley. I was all over Mind Valley. I was doing webinars and mindset resets, and I was working with coaches, and it just was this incredible time of learning and learning wisdom from people who've lived hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, thought leaders, before the AI days, of course. And I just started really eating it up. And I said, this is amazing. I was reading books. I hadn't really sat down and read a thought-provoking or an inspirational, anything very deep in a long time. So I said, wow, this stuff is so cool. What I'm learning, I would love to share it with my kids. Because we didn't have that growing up necessarily. It wasn't something that it might have been available, but we didn't know about it. And they certainly don't teach it in school.
And you're told not to really talk about your emotions, right? No one cares. That's what that generation.
Yeah. Right? And then you get older and your friends like to talk to your girlfriends, but they're not really listening. They just, nobody's really listening. So, and I grew up in the 70s, so that was a whole other trip, But anyway, so I want to share with my son. So I said, you know what? I really want to change the conversation with my kids because nobody's actually having an in-person conversation anyway. Everybody's holding a phone. It's either in their pocket or their hands or, their handbag. So I said, okay, I'm going to reach them where they're at, not where I want them to be, which is sitting next to me talking to me. It's not going to happen. So I knew that they would read a text message.
Right.
So, and I had always sent them texts in the past, but they were always reminders, reprimands, commands, like, where the hell are you?
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
What do you mean you forgot this? All right, right. You want money? What do you want? And I was working, so I was kind of all over the place anyway. So I said, I don't want to have those conversations anymore. I just want to send them how much I love them because I realized that from learning about, the most important years, 0 to 7, not the most important, but really critical subconscious building years, I realized that I needed to reach out to them, and I needed to send them love and tell them how worthy they are and how much I love them, how much I'm inspired by them, share an inspiration I'm learning, share accountability, also like share the wisdom that I'm learning, because it's just really cool stuff. And I wasn't lecturing. I just wanted like them to know, oh, this is real. What do you think of this? And what happened was it became a daily practice. It became a habit. It became something that it wasn't a one and done, it just became something I really started doing. And because I can tell you, when I would send that message, especially like expressing my gratitude, not just to them, but for having a roof over our head or for having food on the table. When I started doing that, I felt this energy release coming out of me of love and gratitude, which are the highest vibrating frequency energies. And I'll be honest with you, I was doing it, for all of 21 and 22. I mean, I've been doing it. I do it every day, even through now. And I would share with colleagues and friends, like, oh, like I do this with my kids, and I really love doing it. And they're like, wow, oh, you should put that in a book.
Right.
You should put that in a book. And I was just like, I should put that in a book. Okay, I didn't set out to start to write a book. I don't know anything about publishing a book. I didn't really know anything.
But you learned, I guess. You learned quick.
Well, yeah, you have to figure stuff out. So what I did was I reached out. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I reached out first for editing services, and I found a really great guy, Matt Harms, and he provided editing services for me, editorial formatting, checking citation pages, because remember, I have a lot of quotes in this book.
Yeah.
Thought leaders, you have to make sure they're attributed. My son connected me. My son David connected me with a book cover designer, but I really didn't know anything about the publishing world. I didn't understand how it operates. I didn't even understand really how Amazon operates. So I did this first, to publish the book, and people loved it. I wound up doing quite a bit of interviews, talking about it on podcasts and radio shows and some TV. And my book, won awards, which I entered in competitions. That was like very exciting for me.
Sure.
It led to marketing opportunities. The book was up like on Times Square billboards and stuff, on electronic billboards. It was crazy. And I realized it could be so much better, because I learned so much, So that's what led me to, through a marketing opportunity, go to the American Libraries Association conference, meet with people, meet with publishers. And now with the new edition, the expanded edition that's coming out, because of the timeliness of the book, I'm working with a publisher now, which is a whole different experience. But I'll be honest, that wasn't until the first book published October 4th, 1993, but it wasn't until October 7th, and being Jewish, that I really understood why I need to do this and what my mission is in this life, because I started seeing like kids and the indoctrination and the propaganda and the hate and the violence that was also being shared on phones, right? The same technology through social media, the distraction, the lack of focus, and what the phones are actually doing to kids and to people and to young adults. Everybody's going through it. I said we have to take the bull by the horns here. We have to out energize that negative content with love and inspiration, and share with our kids. Like, we got to get them on this track, because I don't care how old you are. You want to know that your parents care about you, that they love you, that they thought you, or they think you're important and valuable, and that they think you're smart. I think it's something people strive to hear their whole life. I have people reaching out to me like, I wish somebody told me this. I wish my mother said she loved me. I wish somebody sent me a nice message. Like, people are very disconnected now, Jill. There's a lot of disconnection.
Yeah.
And depression comes from it. I mean, it's lack of purpose and lack of connection. And doing the text every day is such a simple way to connect with a loved one, to connect with anybody and say, hey, how are you? You matter. I love you. You're great. Hey, here's an inspirational quote. What do you think this is? How does this make you feel? It makes a difference in people's lives. And I just said to myself, we have to start doing this. We can do this. I mean, everybody has a phone. It doesn't cost anything. You don't need years of therapy to send a message. You don't need a coach. You just need a phone, and you need to feel your heart and pour it out. And, it's funny, because I get a lot of dads.
Really?
I love my children.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, but I'm on, I have a phone, and I'm like, don't worry about it. Here's a book. The book has 200 pages of messages. The new book is going to have 300 pages of messages and even more and more interesting content in it. And I said, just take one of the messages and tweak it, make it your own. But I promise you, if you commit to doing this every day, it's 10 minutes out of your day, to sending a message to your children or your loved ones or your partner or whoever you want to send it to, it will become something that you could automatically do, and it will come from your heart, because you'll start to notice things. You'll start to notice nature. You'll start to notice the beauty of something. You will start to notice something that reminds you of your kids, and you want to share it. Like, things just come because your mind is opening in a different direction. That's what's happening.
Right. Well, it's so interesting because I think I'm going to read this part where this, I think, really resonates probably with most people, including myself, because I have 18, 20, and 22-year-old kids. And my youngest is my son. So, but you write in the book, the truth is, as they got older, my texts had taken on my verbal communication styles of nagging, scolding, or giving unsolicited advice. I usually send them while angry, exasperated, fed up, or on autopilot. And my sons would usually respond with one-word responses. Yes, right? I think if you're a parent, you've experienced this. So how old were your kids when you started doing this?
Okay, so I would say 4 years ago. So David was 27, Aaron 25, and Josh was 20-ish, 21.
Okay.
21 in there, 21. So my kids are now 31, 29, and 24, and I'll tell you something. The thing with this is, and I explain this to parents especially, is have zero expectations for a response. Mm-hmm. Any of this, any of these things, any of the messages you're going to send them, because it's not about that. It's not about their response. It's about you sending them that they matter and that you love them. You sending that positive energy. You sending the inspiration. You sending the wisdom, and being accountable. Right. And that was a big game changer. Being accountable for me, being accountable to my kids. If they send me back a heart, they send me back I love you. If they send me back this is a great message, that's icing on the cake. Right. Because it's really unconditional. Like, sending these messages is unconditional. I don't expect an answer. And I have like dads and stuff. I mean, you know, they can't see their kids. And some of the kids aren't even allowed really to respond to them, or don't want to, because they're going through a divorce, or there's a bad situation going on. And I'm like, look, you need to just keep doing this, because they know that when you send these messages that you care. And it doesn't have to be long, or, you know, I tend to go on the longer side of my messages. My kids tease me about that. But you could send just, I'm here, I love you. I know we don't see each other, but it doesn't mean I don't want to or I don't love you. Because the day you stop sending those messages is the day that kid's going to be devastated. Even if they never answer you, even if they never say, don't text me, okay? They want it. They want it there, and they'll refer back to it. Because I know when I go into my next life, my kids aren't going to be thinking about, like what I bought them when they were, in college, what I bought them for their apartment. They're going to be like, I missed those messages. At least they'll have the books. At least they'll have their phone, the past messages. I remember when my parents passed, it was listening to a phone message. Right. You know, those are the memories. Those are the things that matter. That's what you take forward. And my hope is that, the next, my kids will do it with their kids, or they'll do it with friends who are disconnected and need help. So that was something that was very important. And another thing that was like kind of startling to me is that I was speaking with parenting coaches who were working with parents, and a lot of them have this whole market of parents of 18 to 30-year-olds they're working with. You think, oh, this is an adult. Like, why are they requiring services? Because this age group happens to be very highly depressed, have addiction problems, disconnection problems, a suicide problem, thoughts and problems. And, there's something going on. Right. So that's like just how it is. And the other thing was the accountability part that really made a difference for me. I actually have a whole chapter in the new book about accountability, because I realized you can't expect your kids to be accountable if you don't model accountability. Ooh, you can't expect your kids to have gratitude if you don't have gratitude. Right. You can't expect that from them. You can't expect them to respect you if you really don't respect them. I'm not best friends with my kids. Okay, we don't have that relationship, and they're not like, "Mommy, I love you. You're the best." It's not. That's not the relationship at all. But I know that they'll come to me and talk to me when they need to. I know that they care about how I'm doing. So that to me is a great thing. But the accountability is where they started to see me as a human being, because I had to say to them, like, "Hey, I know a lot of times I wasn't happy, and I took it out on you. It wasn't anything you did when I was screaming at you or yelling or saying not nice things or acting crazy with you. It wasn't you. There was some kind of trigger that was triggering me based on the way I grew up, the way my past, and the way I learned things. And it was never you. I don't want you to think it was ever you. It was me." And you know what? That made them see me as a human being.
Right. I read that one. I was like, oh boy, that was powerful, Yeah,
I have the whole chapter now about accountability, all the messages where I'm kind of like showing where I could have done something better. Like, I'm saying to do this, but on the other hand, I'm doing that. And it's like, listen, everybody sees the contradiction.
Sure.
Everybody sees what they get it. So if you don't have to be honest to the point where you're just like spilling too much, because sometimes there's things that might not be helpful for them to hear about your past, your life. But at the end of the day, like, I knew that I had to from when they were the way I brought them up, I had to own certain things, and I just had to make them know that it wasn't, they're not stupid, or they're not this or that because they heard it.
Right.
They're not, so that was really important to me.
And they're probably, like everything, they are reading the messages, they are. They
read
yes,
them.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they might not respond, I do want to read one, a shorter one. They're very powerful ones. It says, "Good morning. I love you and adore you. I'm sending you positive energy, love, and serenity. Empower yourself by saying the words, 'I can,' in a place where you feel the belief. Say the words out loud as many times as you need to. Embrace your resistance and celebrate your victory. Desire changes nothing. Decision changes something. But determination changes everything. Have a determined day." Wow. They're all like that, though, Tammy. Like, you were really, you'd really tapped into your soul in this book, in all these text messages.
I don't know. It's really weird, Jill. Thank you so much for saying that. But I really feel like God was just like, okay, you're going to take something out of this and you're going to share it. And this is what I want you to do, because there's not enough love going. There's just like all this chaos. And how can you, I believe, okay, look at the women's the vote.
Right.
It started with women saying, we're going to make a difference. It starts with a person or a group of people just saying, we're going to make a difference. It's not about the resources. It's not about all that other stuff. You just start doing something and you share it. And then maybe they tell two friends and so on. That was the Well of Balsam commercial. They tell two friends and so on.
Yeah, and so on and so on.
Like that's how things spread. People, and that's why with the new edition, the extended edition, I changed the whole tagline. It's still text message to my sons because I have 3 sons and that's what I do. But the tagline became a guide to, using mobile devices, spelling it out, to connect and communicate with your kids, because it is about the mobile devices. They're not going away. Mm-hmm. It is about using technology to do the opposite of what it's doing right now, because, algorithms are designed to ensnare and over-engage 24/7 and spread whatever you're looking at. And people look at train wrecks. So it's just going to give you more of that, and the hate and the violence and the misinformation that's out there, it's very frightening. So my attitude is get on top of that and just, do your lane with your kids, because you're still, at the end of the day, the first point of reference.
Right. And it's great. We have about a minute left before the break. And I apologize, I'm losing my voice a little bit. But you broke all the text down into 10 chapters, and it's gratitude, mindfulness, dedication and discipline, mindset, love and family, growth and personal development. all those things, and then advice. So you really did break it down, and I'm really looking forward to the next edition. So I just want to say we'll be back with Tammy Cohen after the commercial break. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. If you love what you're listening to, head to powerfulwomenusa.com for previous shows, upcoming events, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And share this with a friend. We'll be back. Welcome back. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Tammy Cohen is here with me. She's the author of the book, Text Messages to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in a World of Devices. She is also the owner of a restaurant in New York City and the founder of a women's networking group, Women Beyond the Table. Tammy is with me now. Hi, Tammy.
Hello again. How are you?
I'm good. All right. So we really spoke about the book and how powerful it is, and I encourage everyone to pick it up and try to reconnect with their kids or really anyone can benefit from that. Let's talk.
I'm just gonna do a little plug. The expanded version is up on Amazon now for pre-sale, and it's being published in April. So the expanded version just has a lot more in it, many more messages that were added in, an extra chapter, 11 chapters, introductions, reflections. It's just really full of a lot of information.
Oh, that's lovely.
If they go to Amazon, it's Text Messages to My Sons, a guide to using mobile devices to connecting and communicating with your kids.
Oh, I think everyone needs it. So let's talk about your networking group first, and that amazing. You do everything. I mean, we'll talk about every woman, right, in the music, but you do everything. And but first, let's talk about that. The networking group, Women Beyond the Table. How did that come about for you?
Well, that's a really good question. The same time frame it happened. It was during the pandemic, and I was thinking, how can I transition my business? Because when the pandemic happened and everybody was shut down, my largest client was in the resort travel vacation space, and that really shut down, and it affected my income.
Well, so let me stop you there. So, what were you doing? What's your main main job? And I love that you have multiple interests and multiple things, because we don't have to pick just one. So, go ahead. What's your job?
Well, I'm a brand consultant in the gem and jewelry industry. So I work with designers and retailers and end consumers, customers who like to work with very high level jewelry manufacturers, fine jewelry manufacturers, to get their pieces made or repurposed, or if they see something they love and they want to create it. The legacy piece is a special occasion. So I work with those clients and I bridge that gap, and I connect them with really high-end manufacturers who do exquisite work and only source the best. And everything, I'm in Manhattan, so everything, of course, I'm right near the Diamond District, which is excellent. And then I also work with brands and proprietary products, especially products that are trademarked or proprietary, patented, to make sure they get their value credibility, so that their value is upheld with credentialed gem and jewelry appraisers globally. So I work with a global network of gem and jewelry appraisers who are accredited also, and I make sure that the brand's pieces are valued correctly. Also, that clients can go and meet with the credentialed appraiser, knows what they're doing, and can value accurately what they purchase.
Wow. So you connect people in that way, and then you decided to create this networking group where you connect people in a different way. So talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, I was like, okay, what can I do with my business? Because I need to expand my business. And hey, wouldn't it be great to have like a network of people I liked and trusted who provided technical services and business services and health and wellness services? Because most of the time you hear about something or you're looking for something, so you're going on a Google wild search, right?
Right.
And then you say, okay, I need a content writer, I need a copy editor, whatever I need. And 1,000 things come up.
Yeah, right.
Which one do I choose? And you go look at a couple of websites and you click on something, they get your email, you get the download, and then they start with their, email bombardment of a 10-day odyssey of emails from these people, and then you're on their monthly newsletter. It just becomes like, and you don't even know, like, hey, is this going to work? And how many times have I told you that and people probably can relate to this, that I've actually reached out and gotten services, and it didn't work out well, or the money was spent and I wasn't satisfied, or I didn't know what I was supposed to be getting, and because I didn't know. So I said, wouldn't it be nice to have that? So what I did was I reached out to a couple of colleagues that I knew, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this idea? And they were like, great idea. Another one, you should do it.
Right.
I said, okay. So January 2021, same time I started messaging my sons, by the way. As you can see, I had started doing all this coursework and jumping into all these health and wellness and, personal development things, that things started kind of crystallizing and opening up paths in my mind and doorways to try things. We had our first call with, I swear, I think I had 3 or 4 people on the call, and it just grew from there. And nobody tells you how to start a network. There's no coursework how to start a network.
Right.
I have an MBA. I got it in 1992, and they didn't have courses in starting a network.
Right.
But I just kind of, did one step, after the other, and and here we are. We're in year 5 already.
Wow.
And it's really great. It's global. The women are incredible. They inspire me. They inspire me. They're brilliant. I feel like I have a sisterhood.
Right.
They're non-judgmental. They're kind. They're not competitive with each other. They just there to be supportive. Like, what do you need? Or what do you need to know? Like, I might have an answer. Like, I have a question. I don't know something. You might know the answer. You might connect me to somebody who knows the answer.
Right.
40% of our women exchange services, but you know what? That's not why you join a business network at all. You join a business network for the social capital leveraging, which means that you can go to somebody and ask a question, and you can get to trust them, and you know that they're not going to steer you the wrong way. There's no intent to do that. There's no intent to misrepresent, because we're a sisterhood.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing. And as a matter of fact, Jill, didn't we just go May at Amazing May?
She was on the show, a few months ago.
And she's a member.
Yeah.
She's on our advisory board. And May was like, she did her in-person event. Because one of the things we do at Women Beyond the Table, we're virtual. So we partner and collaborate with in-person event organizers. A lot of our members, not a lot, there's members in our group who are organizing events, they're on panels, they're speaking. So we'll put on our website those events, and our partners who we collaborate with, who are doing a great job on in-person opportunities, we offer that to our members because we're virtual. But we believe you need a full experience, right?
Right.
So we went to this event, and you know what? It was amazing.
Yes.
I was so lit up. And I said, I needed this.
Well, that's my question. Like, how important do you think it's specifically for women to network? I think it's...
wow.
Yeah.
It's very important. But I'll tell you something. I've noticed, and this is one of the reasons why we've done this at Women Beyond the Table. We actually put together the Art of Networking 1, 2, 3 training videos on our website.
Oh, wow.
Because we realize that women don't really know how to network. Men and women network very differently.
Yes.
And that's okay. But men will go into it and they'll figure out a way to make business out of it. Whether they're playing golf or they're in a group situation, they have a different kind of intent. And
yes.
The intention is they're laser focused on these things. Women are different. So we'll talk about a lot of other things besides our business. We'll talk about our families. We talk about our lives. We connect differently, right? And that's all beautiful. That's okay. That's what makes us women. But you have to be able to also understand, like, what are you there for? what do you need help with? What's your ask? First of all, how do you actually connect with the person? Because I've seen people walk up to other people and just saying what they do, and they're not comfortable, so they don't know what to talk about.
Right.
So how do you open up the conversation? What do you do? So the training videos really talk about the how, the what, the why of networking. Why do we do it? How do we do it? How do you follow up with somebody after you meet them? You know, the whole FOMO thing, like, you don't need to be attending every event, you know?
Right,
Not every event is purposeful for your purposes. You need to kind of figure out, like, where do you need to be, and who is your audience? Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to collaborate with? Where are they? What events are catering to that? So that's something that I feel is important for women to understand. And when you're in virtual, it's different. You see, we're consistent, right? It's every month. The women are getting together. We have a WhatsApp live group where daily the women are connecting with each other and putting up offers, and I heard about this, and giving each other inspiration. We have a lot of constant communication. We're bringing a speaker every call. We're implementing speed networking. Our women, we have breakout sessions. Our women are very involved with each other. When you go to an in-person event, it could be yearly, right?
Right.
Maybe they do an event here or there. There's no connection in between.
Right.
So how do you maintain that connection? That's different. So with our women, it's a little bit different. That's how we were able to grow a sisterhood, because the women reach out to each other. They like each other. They get together for lunch and dinner. You know, they care. They're involved with each other because we're building relationships. It's not a one and done. It's not a day of like, okay, I just sat through 8 speakers. Well, hey, we give you like a lot more than 8 speakers a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing that. We're just not doing it in a day or at 2 events. You know, we're doing it in every month we're there. So that's the big difference. But I really believe you need that whole experience of being in person. It's very different energy than virtual.
Well, and you can, so obviously you're a connector. So does that help? I mean, so, and in a way, I think good restaurateurs are that way too. So how did the restaurant then come about? How long have you had that?
Oh, man. Well, I really have to give my husband the kudos on that one. So my husband got into the restaurant business years ago as an investor. We're kosher, right? So there was a prime hospitality group at one point. They had several really high-level kosher restaurants, and my husband was an investor in two of the restaurants. So he started going and like seeing how it operates. He always had a love of people hanging out, having people over. He's great on a grill. He likes, he's very good with. He knows how to cook. He's done that. But it's never as a career, just as something that he likes doing, he enjoys.
Yeah.
And he likes entertaining and all that. So when this opportunity came about, to not be the investor, like observing and like being online and looking at like reports and stuff, but to be hands-on in a restaurant, a friend of his reached out and said, like, hey, let's do something together. You've been like doing this with these guys for a while, but like, would you like to do this? He was like, yeah. I want to try that. And he was still in the clothing business, the garment center at the time. So he said, okay. And he said, I'm going to, I'll be there every day, but I'm not the working partner right now. I have a full-time gig, but I'll be there at night. I'll come every night. I'll sit in the restaurant. I'll be on the floor, blah, blah, blah. So he started doing it. And then eventually the working partner went into his real estate business full time. He said, I can't do both anymore. So my husband said, you know what, I'm going to take over the whole business. And that was in 2013. The restaurant opened in 2010. So we're at this game going on 15 years, which in New York City is insane.
Yeah.
It's not an easy place. Most restaurants come in and go out in 18 months.
Right.
So New York's not an easy place to operate. And then you have the pandemic. So it really just made it a whole different landscape. But he brings a lot of warmth. It's all home cooking. He was a DJ, growing up in Israel. So he has that whole cool music vibe.
Yeah.
The restaurant has an aesthetic, groovy downtown vibe to it, and people just love it. They can come. They get great value for their price. It's not taking their money out of their pockets. Like, it's not crazy expensive or anything like that. But we have a nice niche, and we have a great repeat customer. We don't even advertise. We don't do marketing. We're just on Instagram, basically.
Well, we should say the name of it. We
great.
should tell us the name of it so people can go.
It's called 18 Restaurant.
And it's spelled out. Yep.
EEN. 18 Restaurant, the number 18. And 18 means chai, means life in Hebrew. In the Jewish language, it's the letter chet, which is chai, which is life. That's 18. That's the number 18.
Oh, I love it.
So it's on 81st, between 2nd and 3rd. So it's literally between 2nd and 3rd on 81st. And it's a really great place, and we do a great job. We have incredible sushi, great grill, Mediterranean salads, fish, vegan options, vegetarian. We can even supply the gluten-free eater.
Right.
We have full-on bar, so it's very eclectic and it's very cool. And we have terrific specials every night. So my husband walks around and makes everybody feel welcome, or he sits at his Tony Soprano table. Watches and hangs out, and you feel like you're at a gathering every night. And we love going. I love going and seeing everybody. I always know people who are in the restaurant whenever I go, and it's just very warm and inviting, which is what you want today.
I think so. Well, how did you get this entrepreneur mindset, Tammy? It seems like you just keep going. So what drives you? How did you get it?
That's very interesting. That's a great question. So my dad, may he rest in peace, was a Holocaust survivor, and he came here. And he came here. He was young in high school, and he had to work, and he actually didn't even know how to drive a truck. But he said, "I know how to drive a truck to deliver food." And he wound up opening dry cleaning stores, and then opening up a sweater factory in Brooklyn. And he was very entrepreneurial. And my grandmother, his mom, was actually the business owner in their little community, little town in Ukraine, and my grandfather wasn't the brain, the working brain in the family. She was.
Right.
She had businesses. She ran businesses, and when she came to this country, she started off cleaning houses, and then had so many skill sets in business that she wound up being hired by a company. And a company that was going out of business that she managed to save.
Wow.
And it wasn't even her company. So very resilient people. My mom also, I'll tell you, my mom, she didn't, she graduated high school. She married my father. And she was 10 years older than her. And it was it was a rough relationship in time. But she wound up in her 50s. She hustled. She wound up working in real estate. And she went to college in her 50s.
Oh, that's fantastic. Because you're never too old. You're never too old to dream, right? And to start over.
Never. And I made sure I took all three of my sons. They knew she was in college. And I took them to her graduation. I think it was the proudest thing for them to see their grandma in a cap and gown. They didn't David was 8. They weren't old, but they got it,
Right.
And it just was amazing for her, and she was so proud, and it changed her whole confidence and everything. So I think these role models and seeing people hustle and work hard, kind of rubbed off on me, and it made me desire to do things, and to also have be the parent and be the wife and.
That's hard
to figure out. And what? It's a little bit easier to do these things when you're kind of in your own business, like when you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own show. There's pros and cons, but when you're running your own show, you are the boss of your time in a lot of ways.
Right.
So you can be there for your kids. You can be there for your family, your husband. You can be there for other things when you can make your own schedule. So I've been very fortunate about that, I have to say, and that's always been my lane. And I love to, our whole network, Women Beyond the Table, is small business owners and medium-sized women business owners. That's our lane. We're not G-suiters, we don't cater to that. We cater to the business owner. And they're trying to figure it out. A lot of these women were in businesses, they worked in companies, they had teams around them, and now here they are. They're doing their side hustle, following their dream, and they're doing everything by themselves. So they have they have one other person, a partner, or somebody working with them. And it's a lot, Right. They how do I do all this stuff? So that's what we try to help them out with. connecting those business services in, bringing speakers who can speak to them about that and help them with those services. We also mix health and wellness in, because if you're not okay, mentally and physically, you can't. It's hard to work.
Right.
It's hard to do anything.
Well,
so we're one of those networks that mixes both health and wellness. We're not one or the other. Health and wellness and business.
So Tammy, we have about 30 seconds left with you. What advice would you give to someone who's listening to say, "God, I have this great idea, but I probably shouldn't, or it'll never be anything," or what advice would you give? Who doubts?
Stop listening to your saboteurs.
Yeah.
The saboteurs. That's not the truth.
Right.
Anything that's negative is not your truth. It's a saboteur. It's something in your head from when you were little telling you can't, because it's trying to protect you. But failure, first of all, there's two things I would say is failure is not a bad thing. We all go through it. It just helps you to learn. You just learn. That's it. It's a learning experience. It's not a failure, and it's not a bad thing. And the second thing is I break everything down into small, small steps. What's the first step? Because the first step you can manage. And the first step, I find motivation becomes higher after the first step than it is even before the first step. You take the first step, and guess what? The second step opens up.
Oh, I love that. Oh, Tammy, I think this is it. It's the end of the show. I can't believe it. I want to say thank you for coming on. And
oh my God, thank you for having me, Jill. This has been a great conversation. I love it.
I love it too. Go buy her book, everybody. Text messages to my sons, Connecting Deeply in a World of Devices. Although the title now is a little different in the new version on Amazon. You have been listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Head to Powerful Women USA to get on the newsletter, listen to previous shows. I'm Jill Conway, and thank you so much for listening to the show celebrating and empowering women. I hope you are inspired to pursue your goals, believe in yourself, and dream bigger. I'm here to remind you that your voice matters and that your story has power. Together we are unstoppable. I hope you join me next time.